right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out here so everybody join in. 1 second, please. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. All right. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today and happy Monday. I hope everybody had a blessed weekend and a wonderful Thanksgiving and a great holiday. And once again, thanks everybody for tuning in this afternoon, evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Even if you're watching the recording, we really appreciate taking the time out of your schedule, out of your day, to tune in here and increase your knowledge of the markets and see what we have to talk about, right? And go over some ChartQuest and go from there. So really, really great stuff. Again, guys, thanks everybody, and always grateful for all of you. So great stuff. So this week we're going to be doing a series on setting stops. I'm not even really sure. I think I take for granted that everybody knows, what we're talking about when we say stops and risk and things like that. We've done some good series on this before, but I just kind of wanted to get into just stops themselves, right? And kind of talk a little bit about those with options and how sometimes they work with different brokers, different types of stops, and other ways of using stops for success, and also just some considerations if you have a trading plan, right, when you have stops in place. So anyway, guys, good stuff. Before we get started, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take a look and see where we left off the market today. Then we're going to take a look at the futures and see what we're up to or down to this evening, what might be setting up going in tomorrow. And then we'll take a look at the topic, and then we'll go through questions and chart requests. So let's get started. All right, guys. So SPX ended up about 60 points here today. We were up about 70 or so. It was looking pretty bullish, after Friday's sell-off. There was instead of Black Friday, I heard it called Bleak Friday. I thought it was a pretty good one, right, for the market. So pretty interesting stuff there. Kind of tracking, right, this geometric line, this overhead geometric line right here is kind of like, essentially like a top of a channel here on the market that we've got here on the monthly chart. So just kind of keep an eye on it right there. We ended up rejecting that here, so you can see that drawn here. But in the meantime, still green here on the monthly chart. Tomorrow is the last day of the month, last trading day of the month. It's also the last day of the month too. So pretty cool stuff there. And then we start again. We start December, right? And then we'll see if we get a Santa Claus rally going through there. We might actually even get some window dressing going on going into the end of the month. We'll see if they end up rallying this thing up. And then we'll see if we got fresh blows coming in for December. And then we'll see if we get a Christmas rally. And then we'll see if we're at 5,000 by the new year, right? So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, upper shadow. Weekly chart, guys. This is the biggest concern going into this week was the bearish engulfing candle from last week. We had bearish divergence on the RSI. We were extended over the Bollinger Bands, and a lot of times that does lead to some sort of pullback, and we got that last week. So bearish engulfing candle there, but we gapped up here today, giving us an inside week here so far. So we'll see how that goes. We got a lot of JPOW talking this week. He spoke like once or twice. Tomorrow he's going to be speaking in the morning at the congressional testimonial type thing. So we'll see if that stirs things up a little bit. But in the meantime, just kind of chopping around here in the middle of the week. And we had this nice momentum breakdown here through the trend box on Friday, right? And it pretty much brought us right back down to the next bump line, right? So that was kind of here's your bump line right here, bump and run down to the next bump line. We got up right here. Now, interestingly enough, obviously less volume. We looked at it earlier on SPY. Upper shadow here off the ADMA, right? So we just kind of want to see how that goes. And if we go to our wave count, there's a couple possibilities here. We were talking about alt counts last night, and that's one of the things you kind of have to keep a few things in mind. There is a bearish count right here, even though I have this label as an ABC. This actually could be a 1-2-1-2, and we could be looking at a larger wave 3 of 3 down if we really want to keep a very bearish count on this market. But I'm going to stick with the bull count, even though it's a little bit trickier, right? We could look at this as like kind of a larger wave 1 up as 5 waves of a larger wave 1, right? And this could be an ABC potential. And this could be a 1-2, and we could be working on a larger wave up. It's always a lot harder when you're at highs, right, at all-time highs, because you don't know exactly how exhausted this thing really is, right? So we got to be careful, right? It's all the psychology of trading, right? We get enthusiastic as the closer we get to all-time highs each time, but the more times we test it, a lot of times when we go down, we start to fool ourselves and think that it's continuing to be bullish. So we need to just kind of keep an open mind, keep an eye on the alt counts on this one, and use the price action to your advantage, right? And set stops, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about here today. But let's jump to the futures and see what we're looking like here this evening. So up about 13 points. It was all but yesterday, right? We had that huge move up. Let's go ahead and let's scooch this over a little bit right here. We had that huge move up overnight. which was right there, right? So this is from the Sunday night. We ended up working our way up, chop, 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 chop. Quick breakout this morning around 8:30 through the geometric line, came back under it, and then we finally tested it again. See, we consolidated here and ended up working our way up. We cleared these levels and gave a nice move here today. A little bit of a pullback into the close, and now we're up 13 points here going into the evening. So at this point now, I would probably just just keep an eye here. In fact, this is actually a pretty interesting one here too. So just keep an eye on this geometric line here. We'll see how that goes. For all intents and purposes, and if we can break above these levels, right, we're not really that far from all-time highs, so it is possible that we could get there. And again, tomorrow's price action, end of the month type, we'll see if the institutions want to be in it, or out of it going into the new month, right? So we'll stay on top of it. But anyway, guys, good stuff. So like we said, this week we're talking about setting stops, and I'm not going to make this really complex or anything like that this week. I just want to talk about the different type of stop types that are out there, and just to kind of review that so you guys know at least a couple of the nuances between each of them. So today we're going to talk about market stops, right? So basically what I want to say is here, if we go to, if we pull up SPY today. In fact, this is one that I tweeted out here in the public Twitter today. We also checked it in the group here too. We had a nice bull flag kind of going into today's range, right? So we had this very, very nice flagpole right here. We had a flag, and then we started to break out right here, and then we ended up pulling back, right, and getting to the bottom of the flag, right? So this is actually a good example. There's two ways you could look at this and of trading this, or I'm sure there's multiple other ways, but what we want to do is we want to kind of show a couple areas that we might be interested in. So for me, whenever I catch a breakout, right, I like to raise stops right away. But what do I mean by that? So if we go to very, very simply, like if you're using Thinkorswim, obviously you have to become familiar with your trading software. But let's say we take an entry right here. So let's say before this happened, right? Before this happened, what I would want to do is before this candle, let's get this going here. Okay, so there. So as we broke out of this level, so what I would want is what I would do is a conditional order that if we broke above the 466 level, I would want to stop at the bottom of the flag, right? And so what I would do here is I would do a buy with a stop, right? And so at this point, I would look to market in or do a stop market or a stop limit, and at this point here, I would just do a market in or a stop entry at 466. Right, so once we broke that level, right, I would look to get long, and then what I would do is I would set my stop at the bottom of the flag at the time, right, which was right about here, right, because that's your risk reward at this point, right? And the idea is that we look for a symmetrical move of this flag, which would be pretty incredible. But given the amount of time left in the day, right, you could probably expect just a portion of that, right? So that's an idea. And so at this point here, right, you set your stop here at the bottom of the flag. Let's say just below 465. You can see I would look to enter at 466. Right, and then have a market stop at 465. So what does a market stop mean? So a market stop means that once the market, right, so whatever the market is between the bid and the ask, the market price of the vehicle, if that price is crossed over, right, then you are going to sell out of the position at whatever shares. In this case, I'm showing 100 shares. But you can do the same thing with your options, right? So, but either way, whether you're trading with shares or whether you're trading with options, a big thing you want to keep an eye on here is the bid and the ask, right? So with SPY, very liquid, right? Very, very liquid. 1 cent spreads right now. This is after hours, right? So you're talking about the chance of getting filled. There's not going to be a lot of what's called slippage, right? There's not going to be a lot of slippage on these trades, right? So that's why we're always very concerned about how spready, right? I like to call them spready. How spready we are on our bid versus ask, right? The bigger the spread, right? The bigger the spread, the more slippage you can get. So if you mark it out, it's going to fill you at the bid. Right, so if you're 50 cents away on the bid and the ask, well, just because you mark it out at 465, if your bid is at 464.50, right, which is 50 cents less, if that's the spread, right, they're going to mark you out there, and you're going to get filled at 464.50, right, or whatever the next level is, right, because they're gonna take you out at whatever the market is, and they're going to dump it at whoever will buy it, right, and it doesn't mean you're necessarily only going to get filled at that price. Right, so price can still move between there, and if price is still dropping, you can get filled on some shares or some options, at or below those levels. So there is an inherent risk involved, an extra risk involved, other than just those areas. So you need to be able to account for that, right? Especially if you're new to trading and trying to account for these areas. you really want to know your spreads, especially on the options too. If you're trading a much more illiquid name or something like Shopify intraday, or trying to day trade Shopify and you put a stop market on it, right? You could get hit by a point or a point and a half, and on just one contract, that's $150 of slip, right? Just based on the difference between the bid and the ask, right? So you have to be really careful with it, and there has to be somebody there to buy it too. The market maker usually is going to be there somewhere, but they might pick it up at a lower level too, so you have to be able to adjust for that in your trading plan. So especially with these names with these bigger spreads and these bigger moves, they have to move, right, to account for that sort of risk. So the idea is here is today we broke out of the flag right here. So at that point on the breakout, what I would normally do is just kind of bring the stops up right here if we're showing that we're getting confirmed up here. So you need to account for that in your trading plan. That's kind of one of the big things that we're going to hammer home this week. You need to account for that in your trading plan. Because if you continually raise stops as things are moving, right, you might not actually catch the full move. So you just need to realize that, right? So that it's like, well, I'm not really hitting my my targets, and my losses are bigger than my gains, et cetera, et cetera. Or you got to watch how you manage your stops, right? So that's kind of a big issue, and that's what we're talking about here today. So this ended up working its way up here. It moved from about 466 to 468, and then this thing really started to move down, right, and come back into that flag channel range, right? And it did it pretty fast, and it made it all the way to the end of the day, right? So you can see here, if we were at 465, right, we actually would have gotten hit here at the end of the day if we didn't raise our stops up. Right, but you have to calculate that to be determined. Make sure that risk reward is part of your trading plan, and if that's what you like, right, and you believe that this market was bullish and was getting ready to break out, and you were willing to take that stop, that it's not going to affect your account, right? So in any sort of painful way. So anyway, guys, that's market stops. We're going to talk about different types of stops throughout this week, and a couple different kind of thoughts and ideas around them, and we'll tie them into options and stuff like that too. And then kind of and go from there throughout the week. So good stuff, guys. Once again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And at this point now, if anybody's got any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window. And we'll get through as many as we can, try to wrap up as early as possible, so we can all get a good night's sleep and have another awesome trading day tomorrow. So let's get the daily charts pulled up here. Let's get the chart requests pulled up here. And any questions? And let's go. Let me grab a sip of water here. All right, so good stuff, guys. So Shirley sent a few in here via email, so let's take a look and see what we got. So we got BBY on the radar. Woo! Nasty candle on that one here today. Wow, getting through some old Fibonacci levels, right? So I tell you guys, BBY was pretty epic for a while. Look at that shooting star candle here right before earnings. Big gap down, rally, right? Hardly pushed above those levels, which is interesting. Came back down off that level. This is very bearish right here, guys. Like, if this thing was going to be bullish off of earnings, right? And earnings weren't even really that bad. Right, they actually had a beat on earnings. I think the outlook was a little bit blah, supply chain, et cetera, right? So the fact that it couldn't break out of this green candle high off of a big gap like that with any sort of move, right, and it came back down and pushed through the range right here, I think it's a good clue that this is a doji sandwich right here, right? So it's weakness followed by the strength, right, and then the pause below here under the 200 moving average, and then you got your flush here today on BBY. I think that's your 3-candle move on that one. I really wouldn't force this one any more than that, but that was a nice chart to look at right there for the doji sandwich. Twitter, guys, this one may actually have some more downside. We looked at this the other day. You got, your weekly chart right here. If we just remove the Bollinger Bands here, kind of clean up the chart a little bit. So you can see we had major levels here on the weekly chart, right? So we had this drop-based rally right here. So we're kind of testing this potential support area. If this starts to break down, your next area down is going to be like your 3750, right? So keep an eye on that and see how it goes. I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see some downgrades on this one. But really, honestly, the reason that it was gapping up today because Jack is leaving is that, he's like, as much as he's the founder and CEO of the company, it's like he's also like the worst thing for the company too, right? So that's why the market was pretty exuberant on the whole thing, but then it just pulled back on it there too. So anyway, guys, it's all about the edit button. If we could get an edit button on there, it'd be so sweet. So we have to, repost tweets. But at the same time, I've almost kind of come to appreciate not having the edit button because, a lot of folks could respond to it and, somebody like responds to the tweet and they're like, hey, I really like this tweet. It's a great idea. And then you end up editing it and changing the whole thing around. It's like somebody liked a tweet that was maybe not what they were necessarily liking to begin with. So because of that, I actually don't mind it. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, pretty cool stuff there. But it's been kind of a running thing with Twitter with no edit button. So anyway, rad. Okay, so actually kind of interesting level right here, right? So this had a big move recently, right? A huge spike, and then it's just really pulled back under the 80 man, working its way down right here. That $11.50 level is going to be important for it on the RAD. Levi, this is not a name that I don't think I've ever really traded this name ever since it went public. It's just a grindy kind of choppy name, right? I mean, it's kind of done a bit of a harmonic pattern here, right? You can kind of see this. this whole thing, right? So you kind of have this, but look how just grindy and upper shadowy this thing is. This is a great example of tough names to trade, right? Upper shadow down, upper shadow down. It's grinding up, but it's not making it easy to hold it all. And then you get a day like today where it starts to work its way down, increase volume, 200 moving average, right? You just kind of want to see how it goes. So we're kind of pulling off of these levels right here. Again, I probably wouldn't get too interested until it gets below the cloud, but it doesn't mean it's not going to continue to work its way down. And then LLY. Yeah, so that's interesting here too. A couple things here. We did talk about this recent breakout on this one, and it was kind of more of a cut pattern right here. But at this point now, right, as nasty as this looks, it could be actually be working on a cup and handle, right? So here's your cup, and then possible handle right here. So keep an eye on if it gets bullish again, if it wants to break out of these levels up here. Otherwise, right, we did lose a couple major pivots right here, and some of the pharma sector overall was one of the weakest ones on the radar going into into tomorrow. So this looks like one of the weaker names here too. So see if it gets some downside follow through. It's definitely got room to the downside if it wants it. So it's cool stuff there. Good, appreciate it, Shirley. Hope you're doing great out there. And Mike, what's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, hope you had a great holiday too. Thanks so much for tuning in. So you got RH on the radar. Let's take a look. Double inside day below the ADMA, right? So just kind of struggling here. Watch for a gap down in case it does. If it does, it might be a little bit nasty. Shopify. This is on our overnight bearish radar going in today. It did give a nice move. They did buy the dip off of that 1550 area. So this is a classic example of names with rough spreads, right? Look at here. I mean, this is after hours, but 1574 of these, that's $3. $3 spreads. That's an ouchie, right? So you got to be very, very careful of your stops, right? So sometimes, you just have to kind of eyeball it a little bit, right? That type of thing. But you got to be really, really careful with names like this. It's got to go, right? It's got to go. Otherwise, it's not fun at all. Amazon, interesting, inside, outside, inside day, right? So kind of got a slippery hot dog pattern on this one. We'll see how that holds, right? So watch the inside day today, see which way we can get going on this one. But we had a nice trade on that one today in the group today, up to really close to the 3600 level, which was our target. So nice job on that one. But yeah, watch that inside day, watch those levels. So good stuff there. Michael Phillips, what's going on? Good to see you. Got PPSI on the radar. Let's take a look. Yeah, nice candle on that one. Big breakout here through the 8AMA. Let's see if we can get some more follow through on that one. MTTR. Woo! There's another one. That's another candle we like to see on our birthday cake. So really, really nice push on that one. The iBio. That's a nice one too. Watch that upper shadow on that one. The SOXL. Decent move on this one here too, and moving after hours as well. So pretty cool stuff there. And then you got BA on the radar. Yeah, BA kind of tough right there, right? So it's this is a fake breakout here above the channel. Worked its way back in with a strong candle right here and kind of worked its way back to the mid of the channel right here, right, if you kind of put a midline on that. So let's see how that holds. In the meantime, if it continues to break down, right, you got the bottom of the channel as a possibility there for Boeing over the next couple weeks or so. So good stuff there. And J Miles, good evening. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And you got Apple on the radar. Decent. I would have liked to have seen a stronger close on this one here today, but it did give a nice push intraday. Just couldn't get over a couple of our key levels. TSM below the ADMA, right? Remember that one, that big rejection off of the resistance zone above. So again, just kind of chopping here in the middle there. And Bank of America. So Bank of America, a little bit of a pullback, right back to the 50-day moving average. So let's see if that's just we'll see if that turns into a viable dip or not. Definitely the XLF, right? So the financials are definitely a sector to look at, right? We've had this failed flag breakout. We did get a nice bottom channel at the top of the channel move, but then we rejected off of the top of the channel, and now we're back below it again here today. It looked like it tried to get in there, rejected the 50-day, back below it. So this definitely leaving some of the banks suspect, and it's definitely one to look at. Nikolai, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. And look, you got CRYS too. Yeah, exactly. Woo! Look at that big gap up on that one. Then forever long the BX. Exactly. So this is the Blackstone again. Just every dip Bible on this one for sure. So amazing move on that too. Mosby, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for taking a look. Thanks for tuning in. You got PUMB. Not seeing this one right here, but let's take a look. Wait, did I pull it up? PUMB. I don't have that one on the list here, but let's take a look at MQ. MQ with the bearish engulfing-ish day today, right? So outside day, so basically inside, outside day. Outside, inside, outside day, so off of the ADMA, so a little bit of caution on that one. Jameis, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing great. Had a great holiday. Let's take a look at Facebook. So just getting really, really tight up here, guys. It's changing its name to Metaverse sometime this week. So look for, I think MVRS is going to be its new ticker, which is going to be crazy. So instead of the FANG, it's going to be the MANG. So we've got that going on there. So we'll see how that goes. So good, but yeah, but right now just kind of sitting on the 50-day moving average. And Luxera, what's going on? PayPal, let's take a look. So PayPal's still riding under that ADMA. It's coming to that zone, right? Remember we talked about this one like a week or so ago? This major zone down here, right? We want to see how this holds, right? So we bounced, right? We're coming up to it. We haven't tagged it yet. So once we tag it, maybe we get a green candle, right? You can see last time we tagged the level was way back here, right? We started to get some nice green candles above it. We were able to ride that up for a little bit, that type of thing. So just kind of keep an eye on these levels right here at around the 180 level here for PayPal. And so that could be interesting there too. And then CRWD, again, tough sector here on the cloud security sector. Nasty pullback on this one here. Earnings coming up very soon. So look for that one coming up on Wednesday after the close. Okay, so keep an eye on CRWD, see how it does after earnings, and then maybe it'll give us some more direction. And OTAS, what's going on? Facebook, we just looked at it. I hope you're doing great. Let's take a look at Chewy. Kind of hanging in there. A couple dojis here under the ADMA, so we got that going on. And AMD, I'm glad you asked about this one. This is one that we talked about on Saturday in our sector preview. This one holding up pretty nicely. Of all the stuff that kind of flushed on Friday, this one really held on to the ADMA. So once we pushed today, things got going. What I wanted to share with you guys, anybody who hasn't had a chance to take advantage of this ChatterQuant stuff, is the AMD right here. I just wanted to show you. This one came out pretty early this morning. We stayed focused on this one pretty much throughout the day today. It didn't give a super duper amazing entries throughout the day. It was not easy, but I did point it out here on this breakout at the end of the day, or towards the end of the day, as we approached all-time highs. Right, so in this area right here, I pointed out with volume, right, kind of broke out through this area right here. Wasn't easy, gave a little bit of move, a couple nasty candles right here, but we did get to all-time highs and it gave a nice trade. This was also our action name from the bubble report this morning, and pulled back to the action level, and it ended up bouncing off of it here too. So basically off of a nice turning point pivot on that one. So pretty cool stuff there. So AMD, nice one for sure. And then Rblx, let's take a look. So Rblx, yeah, we'll see if AMD wants to keep going. And then Rblx, kind of hanging in there, right? So we had this decent bounce off the ADMA inside day today. If it breaks out above these levels, Rblx can get going again. Ever since last earnings, you can see the volume has been pretty hot, right? Since its whole recent move, right? Since its IPO, right? So a lot of kind of low volume, a little bit on this one right here, and then boom! Look at all this volume, right? Just kind of relative volume, right? They're getting into this thing. So let's see if they want to continue to hold it. If they continue to push it, right? Look for volume intraday to see if this thing's ready to go, and maybe get back to those recent highs. So good stuff there on the Rblx. But yeah, I hope you had a great one today too. And Dan, thanks so much for tuning in. Brett, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for making it. You got BLNK. Yeah, still under the 80 man. This one a little bit sketchy, right? Let's see if we can get above there and get a little bit of strength. And you got Square. Yeah, Square too. Again, same thing. Kind of probably moved up with the Jack leaving Twitter news, right? And then just kind of faded along with Twitter as well, right? So we had that type of action there today. And then T again. Thanks for finding this one. Beautiful weak candle on this one. This is this telecom sector has been really weak. We closed below recent levels. Again, T. Keep that on your bearish radar going tomorrow. Very nice find too. I mean, unless they try to buy the dip on this one, but this is a very bearish candle day. Great find on that one. And yeah, awesome, Brett. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your support. Always appreciate it. And Michael Phelps, SFM to the 30s. Nice. Look at this thing go. Yeah, it's getting really tight up here. Big breakout. Nice pause. Right now, let's just see if it can break out again and get going again. Very nice find there. And Tracy, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. So you got LAC. Again, look at that big breakout candle on this one here today, guys. Very nice move. Again, if that blink name moves, the plug names move, right, watch the LAC names too. So again, keep an eye on your electric vehicle names, see if this wants to go with it. But nice inside day up. Very strong candle on that one today. LCID, this is another one. Got really active today as well. I think it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. Strong candle day. I want to see it over 58, obviously, if it really wants to get going again. But could be working on a pennant up. I like the volume breakout on that today. AMAT. This one was pretty hot here today too. Again, nice reversal back over the ADMA. Again, a lot of these semiconductors were nice today, again, along with NVIDIA too. Big inside day up here today. So AMD, NVIDIA, AMAT, all those names. Very nice stuff there. And then it's all good, Mosby. I got the Pub M. Pubmatic. So it got really tight here. Right, so it could be working on a pennant, right? So I think this is definitely worth keeping an eye on right here. So see how tight it gets, see if we can break out above those levels, and it can get going from there. Yeah, it's all good. Awesome. Well, good stuff. Great charts tonight, guys. Really appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll be continuing our series this week, so be sure to tune in for the rest of that. You got a couple more there, Mosby. So you got let's take a glance at these real quick. CFLT. Yeah, decent candle on that one today with some volume. D-Dog. Kind of hanging on a spinning top. S. It could be working on a bear flag in SWKS. It could be bear flagging here too. I don't like it below the ADMA, right? So, but see if it's getting ready. It could be gearing up to try to at least try to attempt to push above it. So good stuff there. All right, guys. Well, good stuff. Once again, guys, thanks everybody for tuning in and for the requests. We always appreciate it. We'll see you guys right here on YouTube bright and early tomorrow morning for the Good Morning Market Prep video. And I hope everybody has a good one. Until then, stay healthy out there. And remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And we'll talk to you guys soon.